I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually very kind of nervous for this weekend. BYU's got Arizona at home, a big new kickoff, and then Atlanta has to go to Charlotte to play the Carolina Panthers. Man. Well, as they say, any game could be a trap game. Anyways, welcome back to Grizzly Talks Football. We got NFL Week 6 predictions today. If you have enjoyed this series so far, I will leave a link in the description for the whole entire playlist so that you're all caught up. For those of you who are new, if you have been enjoying this playlist, make sure you give this video a like. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button that's somewhere down there. And also hit the bell so you don't miss a single episode. Let's get straight to it. Oh yeah, and before I forget, I went 7 of 7 in week 5. Not terrible. My record currently, I believe, is 40 and 38. So, not bad. I'm still at 500, but I need to create some separation. I need to get some good picks in. So, let's go. Up first, we had the Thursday Night Football matchup on Amazon Prime between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this is a game that could contend with the Tampa Bay Atlanta Thursday Nighter that happened last week. Key injuries to really keep track of. Jake Moody is injured, and Matthew Wright is going to be kicking for San Francisco tomorrow night. And also there's Talanoa Hufunga and Charvarius Ward on the secondary that's out for San Francisco. For Seattle, it's all defense. Uchenna Nwosu's on IR, with Rick Woolen having an injury, and also Derek Hall. Man, defensive injuries have been really bad. Obviously, both of these offenses have a ton of weapons, so they are definitely going to see a big offensive shootout this game. Oh yeah, both these teams are pissed because they are coming off of bad losses. 49ers lost to Arizona and Seattle lost to the New York Giants. Bleh. I do like Seattle's team. I think they will play well, but San Francisco still has guys like Nick Bosa and Fred Warner out there on defense. And they also still have their offensive weapons back as well. So I think San Fran is going to win, let's say 35-31. This will be a great game. Up next, we have the Sunday morning game in London between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Chicago Bears. Tyson Campbell is ready to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He just needs to be activated on off of IR on time. And as for the Bears, it's literally all defensive injuries. The biggest one being Jaquan Brisker, one of the best players on the secondary. I think both offenses may do well. Caleb Williams will ball out. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Rashawn Johnson will also play well. And DeAndre Swift. Their offense will come out to play. So will Jacksonville's. Jacksonville, of course, has some rising stars. Brian Thomas coming off a 100-yard game. Tank Bigsby coming out of nowhere to have an absolute monster rushing game. 2 touchdowns and 100 yards, man, last week. But there is something that Jacksonville does in London that makes them look like playoff team. Man, when they play in the Americas, they play like the worst team in the NFL. But when they go to London, they play like a playoff team. What? This is not because they beat us in London when we played the Jags. But I think the Jaguars are going to pull off an upset against the Chicago Bears. Trevor Lawrence will have a bounce-back game. Travis Etienne will start to get more rushing yards. And also a big masterclass from Tank and Brian Thomas, Christian Kirk, Evan Engram, and a lot more. Especially that defense, like Travon Walker, Josh Hines, Allen, Andre Sisco, a lot of those players, they're going to come out to play. I think Jacksonville wins 24-21. Kicking off the Sunday afternoon slate at 1 p.m., we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the New Orleans Saints. Only injury to really talk about is Derek Carr, who happened to have an oblique injury and will miss a couple weeks. Which means Jake Haener will probably take the reins. Spencer Rattler might get some snaps as well. But I still don't see Saints really being competitive no matter which quarterback they have. Thank goodness for guys like Alpha Kamara, Taysom Hill, and Jamal Williams taking over the ground game, because they're going to need all three of them to have a good game to even come remotely close to being competitive, because surely the passing game is a little bit questionable, because even if Derek Carr was healthy, he is still very shaky against in the last couple of games that he had. I have Tampa Bay winning 31-13. Baker Mayfield is still elite. That was proven in Thursday's game, even though they lost to us. Well, as far as Falcons go. But Tampa Bay will have their bounce back game. They're going to be playing pissed. Saints just have no chance. Up next, we have the Washington Commanders taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Now, this game is going to get interesting. Two of the best scoring offenses going head-to-head is crazy. Obviously, Jartavius Martin and Marlon Humphrey are the key injuries for both teams. Martin for Commanders and Humphrey for the Ravens. Obviously, the passing offense of Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and company, they're going to dissect the Ravens' passing defense, as Ravens have one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL, and Washington is one of the worst rushing defenses, so expect Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry to have an absolute field day against that defensive front. I gotta be honest, this is a really tough game to pick. I will say, if the Ravens get to an early lead, it's gonna be hard to take them off the lead because, oh man, their rushing offense is elite, and especially when they have the lead late, they're gonna be hard to stop, especially with the rushing defense that Washington does have. I see Ravens winning an absolute classic, 34-31. This is definitely game of the week potential. Man, both quarterbacks are really, really good. Jaden Daniels has his bright future. He might be on his way to winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Lamar Jackson is going to prove himself as the MVP candidate again. Up next, we have the Arizona Cardinals at the Green Bay Packers. Let me tell you, don't sleep on those Cardinals. They will compete with anybody. Unfortunately for Arizona, they did lose their second offensive lineman. We had Jonah Williams already on IR, but now we have Will Hernandez have his season ended. So Kyler Murray is not going to have as much time as he's used to in the pocket, so he's going to have to make plays with his legs. But then there's where James Conner, Marvin Harrison, Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, and Trey McBride come to play, because they will have some good weapons out there for Kyler Murray to throw to. James Conner can run the rock when he needs to, same with Kyler. The Packers looked very shaky last week against the Rams. Man, Jordan Love, he's still a good quarterback. Like, all their players are healthy now. Like, their best players, like Christian Watson is now back with the team. I expect a close game, but I see Green Bay winning 24-21. But let me tell you, those Cardinals can compete with anybody. Anybody. They proved that against the 49ers. They can really score some points when you need them to. Green Bay is going to have their weekly Xavier McKinney pick. Maybe Jair Alexander is going to have some good plays as well. As far as defensive front goes, Kenny Clark, Lucas Van Ness, they're going to give some trouble to Kyler Murray. Up next, we have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Tennessee Titans. Can someone please explain to me why the Tennessee Titans have the #1 pass defense in the NFL? How does that make sense? Oh wait, it was because of Tyler Huntley, wasn't it? And let me say, there are a ton of injured players that are being looked at right now that people need to watch out for. For the Colts, it's Kwity Paye, Kenny Moore, Jonathan Taylor, and Anthony Richardson. Honestly, if I'm Indianapolis, I would keep Joe Flacco going. Anthony Richardson still has a lot to learn about throwing the football. I mean, he had some good bright lights, but he needs to get more consistent. I would keep Joe Flacco going. And for Tennessee, Jeff Simmons and Will Levis are currently on the injury report. Even at 100%, Will Levis will probably not be your best option. As for Jeff Simmons, he's that anchor of that defensive front. If he's out, the Titans are completely screwed. To be honest, with or without Jeff Simmons, Titans ain't winning shit. Indianapolis is going to win this game. If Joe Flacco is the starter, they will win 31-10, 31-13, something like that. He better be remained at the starter because he's going to win games. He's going to put up numbers, and he's going to get you the win for the most part, unless you were playing Jacksonville on the road. Up next is the Texans playing the Patriots. So Houston had a couple of players out like Titus Howard, Joe Mixon, and Dameon Pierce, but Nico Collins is on IR now. So in his place, Xavier Hutchinson will be that receiver spot. I think I've seen him at college. He's actually a very solid receiver at Iowa State. Just very excited to see what he can do with Houston. And as for the Patriots, we had Kyle Duggar, KJ Osborne, and Caden Wallace. That is going to be looked at on the injury report. Oh yeah, and I also noticed that Drake May will be the starter. Good for him. Sorry, Pats, I don't think it matters which quarterback you guys have. You guys aren't beating CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans. Houston wins 31-10, or 31-14. Texans have too many defensive players that can really wreak havoc on that Patriots offense. And Texans still have Ogunbowale, Diggs, Dell. They now have Hutchinson to throw to. Like, CJ Stroud is going to have a field day. He's going to have a great game. I'm expecting at least 300 yards and at least 3 touchdowns from CJ Stroud this week. And ending the Sunday 1 o'clock slate, we have the Cleveland Browns taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia has no injuries, but the Browns have lost David Njoku and Ethan Pochik on the offense, and they don't have Denzel Ward or Grant Delpit. Well, they're on the injury report, but it's more likely than not they probably won't play. If Jalen Hurts does not perform well against the Cleveland Browns, I'm going to have a problem. 1, because I'm starting him this week. I might bench him for Justin Fields. And 2, it really does make a big argument about Jalen Hurts being a good quarterback because he has his weapons back. Devontae Smith is back and A.J. Brown's back. Like, he needs to have a good game now. With that being said, I'm going to say the Philadelphia Eagles win 28-10. Jalen, I swear to God, if you don't have a good game, I might bench you. Maybe even trade you. Don't let me down. Kicking off the Sunday 4 o'clock slate, we have the Chargers taking on the Broncos. This game is a little weird because these two teams have some of the best defenses in the NFL when healthy. Denver has no injuries, but the Chargers... oh dear. Let me give you a list of the Chargers injury report. Justin Herbert, Joe Alt, Joey Bosa, Rashawn Slater, Christian Fulton, and DJ Chark, just to name a few of their key players. I'm assuming that most of these players are going to play, but yikes, that is not what you want, LA. Denver has a really good defense, so does LA. The only problem about the Broncos is that we have no idea which Bo Nix are we going to get. Are we going to get the Bo Nix that throws for 60 passing yards in a game of football? Or are we going to get the Bo Nix that throws 2 touchdowns against the Raiders? There's one thing you need to know about me. I hate inconsistency. Absolutely hate it. Sorry, Denver. Sorry, Sean Payton. I may look like a clown saying this, but I think the Chargers are going to get a road win in Denver. Because I think Justin Herbert will be fine. He did say he was practicing on an ankle brace. I'm assuming most of the players on their injury report is going to play this week. So yeah, I think the Chargers are going to win 24-21. Up next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Key injuries for Pittsburgh include Cordero Patterson, Nick Herbig, and Alex Highsmith. For the Raiders, Devontae Adams not expected to play, and Christian Wilkins was placed on IR. Yeah, sorry Raiders, I just don't think your offense has what it takes. Steelers' defense is elite. It's just Justin Fields. Can he perform against the Raiders on the road? My answer is yes. I see Pittsburgh winning this game 27-10. Crazy stuff indeed. Justin Fields may have like 200 yards passing, maybe even 100 yards rushing. Man, this could be over before half. Up next, we have my Atlanta Falcons taking on the Carolina Panthers. When I say any game could be a trap game, this could be a big example because this is in Charlotte and we are playing on the road. Carolina is the only team with injuries, and they include Austin Corbett, Tommy Tremble, and Jadeveon Clowney. Falcons did amazing on offense last Thursday, but Kirk Cousins, like one game he's putting up 500 yards, the next he's throwing 200 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. I'm not sure which Kirk we're going to get. I'm hoping Kirktober is still alive and well, but some part of me is really thinking this could be a big trap game for Carolina. I mean, we lost to these Carolina Panthers last year. We were one of their 2 wins. If people are going to think I'm an idiot, I really don't care. I'm sticking with my strategy because it's worth 3 out of the 4 times I picked against the Falcons. Like, they got wins. So I'm going to continue to do that. Carolina wins 13-10. Assuming Kirk Cousins doesn't throw a single touchdown. Like, the offense doesn't get a single touchdown, really. Well, gets one from, like, maybe Bijan or Algier, but Carolina has the potential to make a big trap game. Falcons, please beat Carolina for my sake. Like, I'm picking against y'all to light a spark. Like, come on. Really. Seriously. Please, Kirk. Please make Kirktober back. In the final game of the Sunday 4 o'clock slate is between the Lions and the Cowboys. This game is crazy good. Or at least it should be. Key injuries are only for the Cowboys. Brandon Cooks is on IR and Tyler Guyton is on the injury report. I actually don't remember what his status was, but he might come back. I don't know. Maybe he was limited. I can't remember. The Cowboys offense can still perform with guys like Jalen Tolbert, CeeDee Lamb, and also Cavante Turpin. Like, they have weapons. And they also got Jake Ferguson and Zeke Elliott and Rico Dowdle. Defense is going to be a major issue because the Lions have a ton of weapons. St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jared Goff slinging the rock. You can't go wrong with that Detroit team. Oh yeah, and by the way, the bye teams are the LA Rams, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Miami Dolphins, and the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to say Detroit has a passing and rushing game. The Dallas Cowboys, not so sure about that one. Like, that one's a little bit questionable on the rushing game, but the passing game is still lead. But I think the Lions are going to win 31-28 this game. This should be a good one. Next, we have the Sunday Night Football matchup on NBC between the Cincinnati Bengals and the New York Giants. Cincinnati's only injury is Amarius Mims, and the Giants have Malik Neighbors cleared from concussion protocol, but he is still a little questionable, in my opinion. Like I said about the Cardinals, do not sleep on the New York Giants. They just beat the Seahawks last week, but they can really put a fight against the Cincinnati Bengals. Besides, they had Devin Singletary, and they just saw Tyrone Tracy get some rushing carries. And also, you can see Darius Slayton getting some catches as well and put up some numbers. Daniel Jones is a pretty solid NFL quarterback. People need to stop sleeping on him. The Bengals offense is explosive, Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins, Iosivas, I believe is the slot receiver or something like that. I can't remember. But they also got Chase Brown and Zach Moss. I almost forgot he was injured for a while, but actually Zach Moss was cleared from IR, so good for him. The only problem with Cincinnati is that they have a very rough defense. So New York Giants are going to stay in this game. Seriously. Unfortunately, in a shootout, I see Cincinnati winning 31-28 over the Giants. Joe Burrow is playing with fire. He has 5 touchdowns and 350 yards. He's still good. He's still good. Just give him time to really find his receivers, and he's going to make plays happen. Giants will be competitive, but Cincinnati is going to pull it out in the end. And the final game we're going to be talking about is between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets on Monday Night Football on ESPN. We're actually a little unsure about the status of Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. I believe Aaron Rodgers had a little ankle sprain, and Josh Allen had a little hard hit to the head from last week's game. Other people to note is Michael Carter will be out for Monday, and Khalil Shakir and Teron Johnson are expected to play on Monday night. Like, they have a couple days to get healthy. I'm going to assume both quarterbacks will be ready to play by the game time. And to be honest, I know the Jets defense is going to be a big problem for Josh, but Aaron Rodgers has not looked great as of late. Like, the past 2 games, he has not been playing too well. If it isn't because of coaching, like for Buffalo, coaching lost them the game last week against Houston. Coach McDermott, you got to be kidding me with that play call. Josh Allen had his worst career game with 9 of 30 last week. Are you for real? I know Von Miller is suspended and all, but if it wasn't for the coaching mistakes, Bills would have probably won that game in overtime. And I see them beating the Jets here too. Let's say they win 27-21. I say this game goes to overtime this time. Especially with Khalil Shakir expected to be back in uniform and playing, Josh Allen is going to be very happy with the fact that he has one of his best targets back. And that is all for this episode of Grizzly Talks Football. Once again, I will leave a link in the playlist for those of you who are new so you can watch every single episode to get caught up with everything. Anyways, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you hit the red subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss a video. I'll see you next time in Week 7 college football reactions and also the Week 8 AP polls that will be on Monday. Anyways, see y'all later. Peace.